pupil is ready, the teacher will come. That is not necessarily true. With adversity, the teacher will come, whether the pupil is ready or not. Those who are ready learn from the teacher. Those who are not don't learn. Oprah Winfrey advises, turn your wounds into wisdom. Leaders can do that only when they have the right mindset. 3. Adversity opens doors for new opportunities. One of the greatest lessons I've learned as a leader is that adversity is often the door to opportunity. Good entrepreneurs know this instinctively, but most people have been trained to see adversity the wrong way. As speaker and co-founder of the Rich Dad Company, Kim Kiyosaki observed, "Most of us are taught, beginning in kindergarten, that mistakes are bad. How often did you hear, 'Don't make a mistake'? In reality, the way we learn is by making mistakes. A mistake simply shows you something you didn't know. Once you make the mistake, then you know it. Think about the first time you touched a hot stove. The mistake. From making that mistake, you learned that if you touch a hot stove, you get burned. A mistake isn't bad. It's there to teach you something. When many people face adversity, they let it get them down. Instead, they need to look for the benefit or opportunity. One of my favorite examples of this occurred with Procter & Gamble back in the 1870s. One day at the factory, an employee went to lunch and forgot to turn off the machinery that was mixing the soap. When he returned, the soap had increased in volume because air had been whipped into it. What a mistake! What should he do? He didn't want to throw it out, so he poured it into the frames, and it was cut, packaged, and shipped, even though he had ruined it. A few weeks later, the company began receiving letters from customers asking for more orders of the soap that floated. Why? The soap was used in factories. At the end of their shift, factory workers washed at vats of standing water that became murky. Bars of soap that floated were easier to find when dropped. A manufacturing mistake led to an opportunity: the creation of ivory soap, which is still sold today, more than 100 years later. As you face tough times, are you seeing the opportunities? Are you looking for ways to take advantage of them? 4. Adversity writes our story if our response is right. Some leaders treat adversity as a stepping stone, others as a tombstone. The difference in the way they approach it depends on how they see it. Performance psychologist Jim Lohr says, "Champions have taught us how to take an experience and essentially write the story of its effect. If you see a failure as an opportunity to learn and get better, it will be. If you perceive it as a mortal blow, it will be." In that way, the power of the story is more important than the experience itself. If you respond right to adversity, you see it as something that can help you to become better than you were before. I read a poem years ago by James Casey called "Climb the Steep." The first stanza says, "For every hill I've had to climb, for every rock that bruised my feet, for all the blood and sweat and grime, for blinding storms and burning heat, my heart sings but a grateful song. These were the things that made me strong." What kind of story will tough times write in your life? Every leader gets a chance to be the hero in a potentially great story. Some step up to that role, and some don't. The choice is yours. Good leaders see and seize opportunities. They are continually on the lookout for ways to help their organizations and advance their teams. Leadership authors James M. Kouzes and Barry Z. Posner liken leaders to the settlers who founded the United States or tamed the Western frontier. They write, "Leaders are pioneers, people who are willing to step out into the unknown. They are people who are willing to take risks, to innovate and experiment in order to find new and better ways of doing things." Leaders, by definition, are out front. They take new territory, and others follow them. Great leaders don't merely send others out.